there. Today, I'm going to be talking about unconditional love and what it really is. I mean, it sounds kind of obvious, right? We should be loving them all the time. That's what unconditional love is. And honestly, every parent will say that that's true. Of course, I love my child. I completely love them. Yet, so many children don't necessarily believe that. They don't truly take it in or truly feel it. So a lot of times as they get older and sort of just understand life a bit better, they know that they are loved unconditionally or that they are loved, but they still aren't sure if they feel loved. There's a big difference. And that's because they probably didn't internalize it. So why do children need to internalize our love? And why does that love need to feel unconditional? Well, in order for them to love themselves authentically, right? So that when they're adults, they can focus on being the best version of themselves and not wondering where they belong or whether they're lovable. And then they won't be seeking validation from everyone around them, or the opposite, becoming an island where they believe they don't need anyone at all, right? But instead, when they're young and they take in our unconditional love, so our felt love, they become secure, grounded, loving beings who show compassion and confidence. So, what is unconditional love compared to conditional love? Um, well, remember I said that we believe as parents that we always are loving them. Like, how can they not know that? Of course, I love them, right? Because inside us, we really do know that we do. But again, the child doesn't, right? So, and that's very, very common. So, common ways that we end up showing conditional love without realizing it are things like when our kids are genuinely not feeling well, like they're feeling sick, and all of a sudden we shift, right? We're our energy is more understanding, we're kinder, we're softer, we're more loving as parents to them, right? Because now suddenly there's a reason why they can be whiny and things like that. So that's one example of conditional love. And then we suddenly shift again when our kids say, do well in school or do other things that are considered kind or seen as acceptable, right? So when we drop into being showing our love so that they feel it at those times, that actually ends up being conditional, right? So we the key here is that they learn that that's how they receive love, because every child needs love to feel secure, right? They need love to reduce their threat response. They need love to regulate. Um, so what do we do though when they are behaving like super, I'll call say badly, but behaving in a way that is very irritating, very difficult for us, right? Well, all of a sudden, of course, our show of love vanishes and we become irritable, intolerant. We start labeling them, whether that's in our head or actually out loud. And sort of this energy of love is out the window, understandably, right? So, I mean, honestly, how can we possibly be showing our love when we're frustrated by, let's say, they're whining or if they're giving us attitude or behaving aggressively? Right? We're human too. And we have not been trained as Zen monks, although, if you know me again, self care is a critical piece. So we want to go towards that route, never being completely that, but towards that. But anyway, the point is that I totally agree, right? How are we supposed to be so loving in our energy when we're faced with like screaming kids or irritated and really what seems like entitled children? So this is the key here. We need to let our children know we love them, right? Even when they are behaving in ways that aren't helpful, because our energy does shift, right? So letting them know is really important. I remember meeting somebody once, and I said, they don't know that they, as in your child, doesn't know you love them. And he said to me, well, they should. And I said, they don't. And he said, they should. I said, you've never said the words in your life. And he said, I shouldn't have to. And I'm going to argue with that and say, actually, you should, because kids are little and they just don't know, right? They don't 100% know. So I'll just give you a quick scenario on sort of the how. Anyway, let me do the scenario to show you a bit of a difference here. Let's say your daughter is screaming at the dinner table that they don't want to eat what you made, right? Pretty common experience. They are appearing in your mind in that moment as entitled, spoiled, difficult. You might be labeling them again this way in your mind or again out loud. Then, of course, the screaming back and forth begins because your love energy has gone out the window again, understandably, because you've kind of had it, and the screaming, it just becomes a screaming match. What's the outcome of that? Well, more of the same behavior, more apparently entitled behavior, more screaming, more aggression, right? And the outcome inside the child's mind during a back and forth like that, where they don't sense any love, is that they are entitled. They believe that. They believe they're spoiled. They believe they're difficult. So then they actually continue to play that out as a person, right? So that's where, and I'll talk about this at a different video, but labeling how that's so damaging, right? Because they actually believe, all right, I guess that's who I am. And now they start behaving more like that. Now, alternatively, you could try this. So same thing, they don't like dinner, but they don't want to eat that. And you take a breath and remind yourself that they're a kid and that they don't necessarily have the skills yet to help themselves with how they're feeling right in that moment. So, like an adult, they are technically allowed to not feel like eating something that we made for dinner. Have you ever had that happen to you where you're like, oh, somebody says, hey, let's eat, we're going to be eating whatever tonight. And you're like, oh, I don't feel like that. We have the skill to be able to slow ourselves down and just kindly say, I don't feel like that today, or, oh, okay, I'll eat it. But kids don't have that skill yet. So instead of seeing them as spoiled or difficult, see them as having trouble, right? They're having trouble kindly letting you know what they're feeling. And that will help everybody at the table, right? Because what's happening is after you've taken the breath and you approach it this way, your energy shifts, right? Your energy shifts to be more understanding, which to them will be experienced and felt as more loving. And then they can start to learn the skills to regulate, right? Rather than defend themselves and scream more. And as they become more open to receiving your love through your energy, you can then have a more rational conversation about it, which will then teach them the skills that, wow, I can actually have this nice conversation. But if we're going to be coming at them with loving energy kind of gone out the window and just irritability, they're not going to be capable of taking that in. Right. So let's remember, when we shift our energy to be more understanding, and this could be in any situation, like the way we are when they're whining, but they're sick, right? Suddenly, then we haven't lost our loving energy. We understand it. So we can stay in a kinder state. Um, so then they experience as unconditionally loving, because no matter what their behaviors are, our energy is still showing them that, hey, I still love you and this isn't okay. Right. So then they can take in the love, they'll receive the love, they'll feel the love, they'll take in the guidance from us, which will then again help them learn to develop the skills that they need to navigate this world when things don't go their way. Right. Or however, whatever the situation is. So I'm going to just repeat that one more time, that last part. Right. So basically, when we shift our energy to be more understanding in any situation, the way we do when they are whining but they're sick, then they experience as unconditionally loving, while then being able to receive guidance from us to help them learn the skills they need to change those undesired behaviors over time. Okay, so when we are truly unconditionally loving, they know we love them, they feel we love them, and then they're open to our guidance. And if there's any doubt as to whether they feel it, you know what, just let them know, right? I'm not, loving how you're yelling right now, and I love you. Let's figure out what to do about what's bugging you right now. That would be a great way to deal with a situation that feels frustrating to you, and still allow them to feel loved, like they belong, like they matter, and give them the opportunity to calm their energy so they can open up to receive the guidance. So I know I repeated myself a few times there, but it's really important. So I hope you found this helpful, and I appreciate you always watching. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.